Okay, so it asks us in example 9 to solve this equation. It is not a function, it is an equation. It's already set equal to 0. So we're not going to talk about x-intercepts or anything. We're just talking about what are the solutions to this problem. And we're going to use the quadratic formula. Okay, it doesn't factor. If it did, we could do that. You could also do it by completing the square, but we're going to go ahead and use the quadratic formula. So once again, when we have our quadratic equation in this form, then the quadratic formula says x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Make sure you make that line long enough for the division bar there. It needs to go under that opposite of b. Okay, so in this case, a is 1, b is 1, and c is 2. So we'll plug it in the formula. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. And I think I know what's going to happen here. Okay, all over 2 times a. And then what do we get? Well, we get negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus 8 over 2. Now, I've seen a lot of mistakes made on this next step. But that 1 minus 8 is negative 7. You don't get to, make it a positive 7. It's a negative 7. So be careful with the signs because then that changes things in our problem. So it means we're going to have imaginary solutions here. We're going to get negative 1 plus or minus. You can put the I in front of the radical. Now, my guess is they're going to want to write this in a plus bi form. So I'll write it over here. That would be negative 1. It doesn't really matter which one you put first, but I'll put minus. Let's see. No, that's not what I wanted to write. Sorry. And I wanted to write that, but not quite like that. Okay, so negative 1/2 minus the square root of 7 over, well, that's not a 7. Square root of 7 over 2i. That is the a plus bi form that we were talking about. So that is one solution. The other solution would be negative 1/2 plus the square root of 7 over 2i. Notice that they're complex conjugates. And they're both in a plus bi form. If they want it as a solution set, you could put it in set notation. So be careful on that in WebAssign because they're picky about, when you put the brackets and when you don't. But those are the solutions to the equation that they gave us. We get 2 imaginary solutions here. Just one more note that negative 1/2 is a real number, and minus the square root of 7 over 2, that's also a real number. And positive square root of 7 over 2 is a real number, okay? But the I makes these solutions both imaginary solutions.